All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating and, honestly, pretty complex web. How online ecosystems are actively reshaping modern male identity. We're going to dive deep into the research to decode the Manosphere. Basically, it's a sprawling digital network that offers these overly simplistic and ultimately deeply flawed answers to young men who are feeling incredibly disenchanted with society.
Now, to really understand this phenomenon, the research suggests we have to look past the extreme rhetoric for a second and ask ourselves a hard question. Why is this space, which researchers routinely label as a completely toxic echo chamber, why is it so appealing? Well, it turns out that a lot of these young men are just genuinely struggling with inadequate social skills. It makes the modern dating landscape feel like an absolutely impossible puzzle.
And this quote from New Road Psychotherapy really hits the nail on the head. What draws many in isn't hatred of women, but rather a fear of invisibility. The tragedy of the manosphere isn't solely its misogyny, it's its emotional poverty. See, the root here isn't necessarily malice. It's a profound, deep-seated vulnerability. When guys feel totally invisible or they face romantic rejection but lack the emotional toolkit to process it, they get desperate. They are literally just yearning for community, some kind of affirmation, and honestly, a guide to help them make sense of the whole shebang.
So here is the main thesis. It's a profitable trap, exploiting a genuine crisis of connection. Into that massive gap of loneliness steps this network of self-styled gurus. They see this very real pain, and frankly, they monetize it. They build this trap that takes young men's confusion and redirects it into a super rigid, highly transactional view of the world.
Which brings us to the first big piece of the puzzle, the crisis of connection.
Looking at these vulnerability factors, researchers emphasize an absolutely crucial distinction. We aren't necessarily looking at a crisis of masculinity here, but a profound crisis of connection. I mean, young men today are navigating deep-seated loneliness, economic insecurity, and these rapidly shifting gender norms. They're isolated, and they don't have the relationship skills to adapt. They are desperately looking for mentorship, some kind of brotherhood, literally just a roadmap to feel valued.
Okay, so how do these gurus capitalize on that? That's part two, selling a simplistic illusion.
Our sources highlight that these influencers step right into the gap, and they operate way less like actual mentors and way more like ruthless marketers. It's a highly lucrative space. Because instead of teaching the hard stuff, nuanced communication and empathy, they sell a quick fix scripted performance. They push this idea that if you just adopt the right power poses or project alpha energy, it's like a cheat code. Like you're just beating a video game to unlock relationship success.
Now, to really decode this world, we have to look at the jargon. Take the red pill. Obviously borrowed from the Matrix, this foundational metaphor claims society is systemically biased against men and followers need to wake up to feminist oppression. By framing a personal rejection as proof of a massive systemic bias, well, it offers guys a really comforting, even if completely alienating, explanation for their struggles. It tells them, it's not you, it's the system.
But then it goes a step further with the black pill. This is a highly nihilistic ideology, super common in incel communities, and it basically strips away all personal agency. It tells men that romantic success is entirely 100% genetically predetermined by physical attractiveness. So if you aren't naturally perfect, you're just doomed. No way around it. It's a mindset that leads followers right into incredibly deep despair.
And that exact obsession with biology spawns these wild trends like looks maxing. It preys directly on adolescent insecurities. Believing that personality literally doesn't matter at all, followers try to physically optimize their appearance to an extreme degree. Our sources note this even extends to incredibly dangerous practices, like bone smashing. Yes, you heard that right, young men actually inflicting blunt force trauma to their own faces, just desperately hoping it'll somehow alter their bone structure. It's really tragic.
So the data reveals this incredibly harsh contrast between the seductive promise of the manosphere and its actual reality. The promise? Alpha status, guaranteed relationships, brotherhood, power. Sounds great, right? But the reality? It's transactional dating, deep isolation, continuous financial grifts, and just a whole lot of anger. It trains men to view women as algorithms to be manipulated, which ironically guarantees they are never going to form that genuine intimacy they originally wanted in the first place.
And to back all this up, we move to part 3, weaponizing evolutionary biology.
To make this worldview seem totally legitimate, the Manosphere wraps its claims in these evolutionary just-so stories. They claim strict alpha and beta male hierarchies govern everything, which the scientific reality shows actually comes from flawed animal studies that just do not apply to complex human structures. They preach hypergamy as an absolute rule, the idea women only want status, but science says that exaggerates statistical trends and ignores individual female agency. And their claims about male disposability completely fail to account for the specific male-to-female gendered violence we see across cultures. It is heavily distorted pseudoscience.
Just listen to this from the Kent Academic Repository. The alpha/beta dichotomy, as found in the red pill, has little resemblance to that found in the field of animal behavior from which it originated. Experts argue this isn't science at all. It's a highly curated algorithm designed to completely eliminate the messy, unpredictable nuance of human relationships. Because think about it, for a young guy lacking social skills, human unpredictability is terrifying. By framing dating as rigid biology, these spaces provide this comforting illusion of total control.
And maintaining that illusion means erasing individuality entirely. Take the acronym AWLT, which stands for All Women Are Like That. Let's say a text goes unanswered. The algorithm dictates it's not because of some nuanced personal dynamic, it's simply because all women are just biologically programmed that way. It essentially takes the sharp sting of a personal rejection and replaces it with the cold comfort of a monolithic formula.
Which brings us right into the economics of it all. Section 4. The profitable outrage algorithm. We really can't ignore the economics of this echo chamber. Social media algorithms are actively driving this radicalization. Why? Because outrage generates massive engagement, and that secures higher ad revenue. The influencers at the top are essentially ideological entrepreneurs, mainstreaming extremist ideas on platforms like TikTok. They exploit what researchers call prediction error reduction for the anxious mind, basically using confrontational language to hack our attention, and then driving these young men right toward expensive paid self-help courses and memberships. It literally repackages social anxiety into a highly lucrative grift.
So, how do we fix it? That's our final section, exiting the rabbit hole.
Dismantle this illusion and exit the manosphere. Psychologists suggest we have to redirect energy away from harm and toward practical solutions. We first have to recognize that underlying emotional void, without ostracizing these guys even further. Shaming them, that only proves their theory that society is against them. Instead, we've got to redirect that energy toward healthier, highly practical blueprints for building relationships. Escaping this rabbit hole requires a tangible roadmap. Step 1. Recognize the economic grift and the algorithmic manipulation for exactly what it is. Step 2. Disconnect from those digital echo chambers and get off social media for a bit. And Step 3. Do the actual hard work of building genuine, empathetic, offline connections. It really means unlearning the whole idea that a relationship is a game you have to win through dominance and realizing it's built through actual collaboration.
I absolutely love this quote from New Road Psychotherapy. The antidote to the predictive script of scarcity is not another formula, but the experience of being received without one. The research points to one absolutely vital conclusion here. True connection requires vulnerability, not dominance. When men are allowed to just express uncertainty without being shamed, they learn pretty quickly that they don't need to be some hyper-optimized alpha to be completely worthy of love and respect.
Because the manosphere's illusion only survives when we are isolated, constantly searching for quick fixes to complex human interactions. But by fostering genuine social skills and real empathy, we completely dismantle the foundation of that trap. So, thanks for joining me on this explainer. I want to leave you with one final thought to reflect on. If the manosphere thrives by monetizing our isolation, what happens to its power when we stop treating relationships like a competition and start genuinely connecting?